We've got a good old-fashioned goalie swap between the Minnesota Wild and Ottawa Senators. The trade just happened this evening, and we're going to get into the details right now. Hey everybody, so we've got a trade to talk about here tonight, a goalie swap between the Minnesota Wild and Ottawa Senators. Minnesota sending goaltender Cam Talbot to Ottawa in exchange for goaltender Filip Gustavsson. And you can't really say that you're surprised after what's gone down between Talbot and the Wild since they signed Marc-Andre Fleury to that 2-year deal. There was a lot of contempt between the two sides. Talbot's agent and Bill Guerin, the Wild GM, had a little bit of a sparring match in the media with a war of words, and it was pretty well known that Cam Talbot was not very happy with Minnesota basically choosing Marc-Andre Fleury over him. So to just kind of get it all over and done with and get this whole thing wrapped up, Minnesota decides to ship Cam Talbot out to Ottawa, and now they don't have to worry about it anymore. Fleury is the goalie in Minnesota. Gustavsson can come in and back up, and Cam Talbot now will have a chance to start with the Ottawa Senators. A pretty different situation than Minnesota as far as how good the team is or not. But he'll be certainly the starter for Ottawa given their goaltending situation right now. So let's take a look at it here. It's official. It's a 1-for-1, just a straight-up goalie swap. Ottawa gets Cam Talbot. Minnesota gets Filip Gustavsson. And if we look at both of these players here, starting obviously with the big name Cam Talbot, 35 years old, veteran goalie now at this point. But had a pretty solid season last year. A very good season last year. He was an all-star. I think he was better in the first half of the season than the second half, but he was good enough to be an all-star for the Central Division. He started 48 games. He won 32 of them, had a 2.77 goals against and a .911 save percentage. And overall in his career, he's been a pretty solid goaltender. Hasn't really taken a team on a deep playoff run or been a franchise-level goalie, but he's been a very solid starter for most of his career. A career .263 goals against and .915 save percentage. Very stable, good numbers right there for Cam Talbot. And he is certainly an upgrade for the Ottawa Senators, who needed a goaltender after trading away Matt Murray to the Toronto Maple Leafs last night. They obviously need a starting level goalie. Filip Gustavsson is not that. And he now goes to the Minnesota Wild. Now, Gustavsson, only 24 years old, very limited NHL experience. He started 16 games last year. Obviously, the Senators were not very good. He only won 5 of them. Abysmal goals against average of 3.55 and an .892 save percentage. However, you do need to take into account how bad the Ottawa D was that was playing in front of him. And I think the jury is still out on Gustavsson. He's very young, still at 24. For a goaltender, goalies usually take the longest to develop out of any players. So, you know, he's still young goaltender-wise. He didn't have a very good team playing in front of him in Ottawa. You know, he's only got a total of 23 games started in his NHL career. So I think the jury is still out on Gustavsson. I do think he's could be good enough to be a backup goaltender that doesn't have to play a whole lot in Minnesota with a much better team in front of him. I think he can play 25-ish games, give Fleury the nights off that he needs off. But clearly, Marc-Andre Fleury is the guy for the Minnesota Wild, and Gustavsson will just be competing for a backup spot. But all in all, I don't think this is really a trade that is surprising given the way things went down between Talbot and the Wild after Fleury was re-signed. He was not happy about it. We figured Minnesota was probably going to try and ship him out. Ottawa had a very obvious need for a starting goaltender after trading away Matt Murray. So, I mean, this was the pieces fit everywhere here. So, If you're the Minnesota Wild here, you are fully committed to Marc-Andre Fleury being your starter, and now Filip Gustavsson can come in and compete for the backup job. And for the Ottawa Senators, you needed a starting goaltender to hold down the fort for at least another year. Cam Talbot's your guy. He was an all-star last year. He's certainly an upgrade in goal for the Senators compared to what their options were. So, you know, we'll see how he does. Obviously, he's not going to have the same level of defense in front of him in Ottawa that he did in Minnesota. Just two teams that are at very different points right now. But it'll be interesting to see. He's clearly a starting level goaltender and should be able to put up some decent performances for the Sens. And for Minnesota, obviously, they get the disgruntled goalie out of that locker room, away from the team, and solidify Fleury as their number one. So just a pretty straightforward 1-for-1 goalie swap here between the Wild and the Sens. I think it makes sense for both sides. Minnesota needed to get Talbot out of there. He wasn't happy. Ottawa needed a starting goaltender, so see you later, Cam. And Minnesota gets a backup level type player in return. So Fleury is clearly the number one. And now they've got someone to back him up that isn't going to complain about it the way that Cam Talbot was. So that's what I've got on the Wild Sens trade. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully we'll talk to you soon. And with that, please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our merchandise store, membership, and donations are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you all very, very soon.